Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I will be reviewing the film Cuckoo from the 2024 Fantasia International Film Festival. Cuckoo is directed by Tillman Singer, written by Tillman Singer, and stars Hunter Schafer, Jan Bluthart, Martin Cossacks, Jessica Henwick, and Dan Stevens. This is a Cuckoo movie review, and there will be spoilers. If you enjoy our movie reviews, please show your support by liking this Cuckoo film review and subscribing. Once subscribed, click the bell notification box to be instantly notified of new reviews. Please also consider supporting us through a channel membership or by becoming one of our patrons on Patreon at patreon.com/FilmBook. And now, the Cuckoo movie review. Filmmaker Tillman Singer's new film Cuckoo starts off weird and gets progressively more bizarre as it moves along. There's one great scene and a lot of meandering sequences during the movie's duration. The best scene has a teenager named Gretchen being buried by huge bookcases, which are dropped down purposefully by a key demonic character to try to stop Gretchen. Or something like that. Cuckoo is a stylish movie. If The Shining met The Grudge, this may be the type of movie you would get if those films had a wicked love child. While Schafer turns in some interesting work as a performer, the movie gets lost in its own lofty ambitions. Ultimately, it's just too offbeat for its own good. As the film opens, Gretchen and her family come to a resort in the German Alps. The slimy owner of the place is portrayed convincingly by Dan Stevens. Gretchen eventually becomes so bored that she gets a job at one point at the resort as a clerk. Her dad and her young stepmom are right alongside Gretchen, as is Gretchen's younger stepsister, Alma. This film is chock full of creepy noises and loud sounds that offset the tranquility that doesn't really exist too comfortably among the family in their new habitat. Gretchen reacts to the disturbing things around her in negative ways, while little Alma has seizures in the interim. The plot is solidified by an older woman who makes peculiar sounds that seem like they're coming directly off the sound reels of the Grudge horror pictures. She's only scary in spurts, as the movie tries to do too much and too little simultaneously. Gretchen is warned not to be out in the late evening, as things are surely too dangerous around this newfound home away from home. Cuckoo has a bit of fun being weird. Schafer plays the role of Gretchen well, although the character is not particularly easy to relate to. The filmmakers seem more concerned with creating the atmosphere surrounding this film's characters, rather than focusing on in-depth characterization. Dan Stevens shines in his role, though, as the resident weird person behind the scenes of the wild occurrences that take place throughout the movie. This film feels like it doesn't want viewers to get definitive answers as to what exactly is going on through the picture. While a lot happens, most of the movie's suspense comes in the very last scenes of the picture, which helps set the stage for a potential sequel. There will most likely never be one, though. This film has surprises, but they aren't telegraphed particularly well. Instead, the picture goes back and forth and leaves audiences wondering why things happen as they do. There are more questions raised than answers here, and the movie is all the less satisfying as a result. Then there's the matter of a picture's pacing as it goes back and forth uneasily between a horror movie and a science fiction tale of experiments gone awry. Cuckoo tricks audiences into thinking there's some substance underneath all the film's stylish scenes. The best scene with the bookcases falling against one another as Gretchen fights for her survival is really well orchestrated. Many of the other scenes are not done as well, and the staging of the dropping bookcases moment are symbolic of what this film could have been if it wanted to be. It's too inconclusive to compare this film to The Shining, which offered more dread than this movie ultimately does. This new film wants to have its cake and eat it too, and the ending seems tacked on right at the last minute for whatever reason. Tossed into the mix is a good performance by Stevens that ultimately gets lost in the shuffle. There are experiments that are being conducted that would never be discovered by Gretchen under normal circumstances. This film cheats more than it plays fairly. Schafer emerges unscathed, although with a performance that gets a B+ for effort, but ultimately the filmmakers don't allow the plot to develop organically. Scenes seemed forced, and certain characters' actions ring false, even for a movie like this. Especially those actions of Gretchen. There's also a detective, Henry, whose role goes nowhere despite some interesting possibilities which are never quite developed upon effectively. Cuckoo has some scares in the last half hour, but this may be an example of too little too late. Another central character is Gretchen's would-be friend who comes off as Gretchen's potential companion. We learn of dangerous experiments that characters are conducting, but it's hard to figure out where Gretchen fits into this movie as a purposeful character. By introducing a lot of complex themes, the movie eventually falters by settling into a routine genre film at the end, and that's a bit disappointing to report. Other casting choices are suspect, such as the decision to bring Jessica Henwick into the mix as the stepmom. Henwick seems like she came from another movie altogether, and the picture could have developed this character who is pivotal to the action just a bit more. That being said, this is really Schaefer's movie, and the star is up to the task of keeping the audience interested even if nothing too scary ever happens. Unless, of course, you've never seen The Shining or The Grudge. Those gimmicks employed in those movies are not all used effectively here, which means the movie's inspirations were hard to surpass for the filmmakers. Cuckoo is a twist-filled horror movie. It's more or less a nightmare that has come to life. Even a nightmare, though, there's some wiggle room to try to find out what the dream is doing wrong. But that's another story. Cuckoo. Yeah. This movie's title lives up to the finished product, that's for certain. It's an appropriate title for this bizarre picture. And that brings us to the conclusion of this Cuckoo movie review. I would love to hear your thoughts on it below in the comments section. If you liked what you heard during this review, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Please also visit and subscribe to our podcast channel at FilmBook Podcast on YouTube. If you would like to get FilmBook's articles delivered to your inbox, sign up for our daily newsletter or download our Android FilmBook app for instant notifications. You'll find links to both in the description and on our website, FilmBook. That's film-book.com. Thanks for dropping by, and I'll see you next time.